Hi, I'm Senator Malcolm Roberts and I'm in Mackay with Christine Keys, our One Nation candidate for the state seat of Mackay at next month's election. Now, Christine and everyone out there, we know that One Nation is very well known for our passion around Australia, doing what's right for the country, making sure that we do everything in the national interest and the state interest. And we're also well known for protecting property rights, restoration or compensation. We're known for water, making sure we have infrastructure in the future for water, our energy policy, our support for cheap energy, affordable energy, our immigration policies to maintain a strong culture, a strong set of values. These are the things that are basic One Nation bread and butter. But this is really important to us. It's an education policy because this is where the future of our country lies. And what we have here is a wonderful gem in Christine who helped develop the One Nation education policy. So perhaps you could focus on the basics and then we'll go into some of the details, Christine.
Sure, we need to get our children back to learning the basics, giving the teachers time to teach them English, maths and science. We need to teach our children how to think and not what to think. And we need to teach them only things that are scientifically based, evidenced with scientific backup and developmentally appropriate.
Yeah.
They are major things that we must do with our children.
And we know parents are concerned right across Queensland because of falling NAPLAN scores and other indications of a failed education system. But what we want to do is restore that. And that comes with not by blaming teachers because they're just victims of the system,
Absolutely.
not by blaming principals because they're victims of the system. It's the labour machine that doesn't care about people, that just puts edicts out there and controls people. So we've got principals with no power getting belted and other principals taking it out on others. So we really need to get back to basics. How do you do that?
Well, we have to start. It's not a quick fix. We need to start right at the beginning of school and teach them how to think, teach them the basics, teach them to read competently, not just to know their phonics, but to know them properly and thoroughly. And it's a fix that will take a long time. At the moment, we've got students leaving Year 12, going into universities, and they can't use the English language adequately. And then they're leaving university unable to pass this on to the children. And it's really, really very sad to see the number of teachers that are lacking in these skills and trying to teach the children.
Yes, and you've just covered the first 4 points, so I'm not going to ask you details. We've already done it in the previous one. The fifth point is covered in the previous video. Perhaps you could talk about, give us that example you told me about that really triggered my heart when you told us about what you did with that young student at one of your previous schools.
I believe that the key to teaching is genuinely caring about the children and loving the children. I had a child who ran away from school. Not sure where that child had gone. I got in the car and followed where I thought he was, found this child sitting in the dirt. So I didn't get out and tell him to get back to my office and I would deal with him. I got out and I sat in the dirt beside him and put my arm around him and let him cry. And he came back with me quite willingly and he was happy for the rest of the day for one very simple reason: he knew I cared.
Kids are not chicks at a battery hen farm.
No.
Kids are not cattle.
No.
Kids have got a heart and a mind and a human heart and a human neocortex in the frontal lobe. So we're quite different from anyone else. We need that love, we need that care. We also need respect, we need understanding, and we need boundaries.
Yes.
And that seems to be something the labour machine has forgotten, boundaries.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us something about how you instill boundaries in children? Because they need it. Without that, they're lost.
Well, unless you genuinely care for the child, you can't give those boundaries. Until they respect you, those boundaries mean nothing. But once they learn that you care about them, you can put those boundaries in place and they feel safe, they feel happy, they love coming to school, and you'll have your hiccups with every time, well, sometimes, but generally the flow will be smooth. And sorry.
No, keep going.
Generally the flow will be smooth and the whole school then comes into a respectful situation where you've got parents respecting the staff, staff respecting the parents, staff respecting each other, and the children know they are important.
And within 6 months, I think you said, of being principal at that school, the parents are coming to you and say, what has happened? We love it, but we don't know what you did.
within the first term.
So you led by example.
Yeah, but on the other hand to that, I was told by the machine that I had to keep my principal's hat on and overlook the things that are being taught to the children that were not scientifically based and that were confusing them and causing anxiety. That's not something I could do because our children deserve the truth.
See, the machine, the Labor Party machine, goes on ideology. It pushes failed gender policies and all the other ideology. It also then tries to pander to various parents and other interest groups, vested interest groups. It panders to people in positions of power like certain unions. And so they don't end up with the basics. They end up with scattered programs that sometimes conflict. No wonder everyone's confused.
That's right. And the children are no exception.
So what about this one here? Could you explain it? I know exactly what you mean. Reintroduce competition in our classrooms and remove the everyone's a winner belief.
Everyone is a winner, but in different areas.
Right.
And you've got to be allowed to be a winner. And at the moment, it's a case of we can't have winners because everyone has to be on the same level playing field. Sporting carnivals are not receiving first, second and third awards in many, many schools. But the child that is struggling academically can often get his self-esteem from the swimming carnival or the athletic carnival. And children are resilient. They need to be able to build up in their areas of strength, but understand this is my area of weakness, so this is how I will cope with it.
So building up resilience comes not just from winning in certain areas, but also losing in some areas, because that teaches us how to actually win out of what some people would call a loss.
And learning how to lose. Learning how to win and learning how to lose.
Now, it might come as a surprise to people, but I never was very successful at basketball. So, there's no way. So I had to deal with losing in basketball. And here's another one. Encourage a greater balance between men and women teachers, because there is a difference between the sexes. Both are necessary.
Yes. There are very few male teachers compared to female teachers, and we need to bring that back in because many children don't have a male role model, and we need that equilibrium so the child has female role models, male role models, and we need to encourage the men to come back into teaching. They're a vital part of the education system, and they've gone AWOL.
We need to get back to basics. So remember, next month at the state election, vote 1 for One Nation, and in Mackay, 1 for Christine Keys.